Hey, hello, leavers and believers. Welcome to Leaving Hillsong. My name is Tanya, and you have arrived at part 3 of Into the House, which has been our exploration / expose of the rehab, in very loose air quotes, named Mercy Ministries, run by a woman called Nancy Alcorn, who was very closely affiliated with Hillsong, spoke at conferences. Hillsong were all over this program when they brought it to Australia. Still, things weren't as wonderful as they originally had been promised. When brought out, I believe, supported by Darlene and Mark Check, who had been impressed by the program in the States. And along with that, we had Nabi Saleh, who was the co-owner of Gloria Jean's Coffees with Peter Irvine. Both men were heavily involved in Hillsong. Nabi, of course, was a board member and a bestie of Brian's. They were also involved with Mercy Ministries through Gloria Jean's. It's just one big entanglement, and we hope to get a little bit further into that entanglement because we've got more info than even what's before you today. If you haven't heard parts 1 and 2, make sure you do. It's tough stuff, but it's got to be done. And so we're doing it. We're better. Sarah and Britt, who have shared their story of going into Mercy Ministries separately in Sydney, but then becoming friends and staying friends after they escaped, left. They've shared their experiences so far, and I've got to warn you, this one gets even tougher when they just so honestly share what it was like leaving, what it was like being in there, and how hard it hit them afterwards. So, you know, all the content warnings that you need, particularly about mental health and suicidality, because it's going to jump out at you otherwise. But it's just so important these stories get told, and I'm so grateful to these two for doing it and really talking about what it was like, the real lived experience of going into the house. And they eventually got out of the house, which is the main point. Here's part 3 with Britt and Sarah.
4 or 5 years ago, I was in the States and I thought, you know what, I'm over here now. Let's see if they'll let me in. And I reached out to Mercy, like its headquarters in Nashville, and asked for a tour. I can't remember if I said that I was from the Sydney home. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have included that in the first email. Ended up getting a response, sorting out a time. So book flights in the middle of this trip, organized. I said to my friends that I was going with, I was like, we just need to stop off in Nashville for 2 days. That's all I need. I just need to do something. And went to the home in Nashville, which is their headquarters, and met this woman. And it was, I don't know whether it was like closure or whether, I think and everything that you've probably heard Sarah and I talk about today, like you are taught so much. Like there are so many things that you listen to in the program that you're like, that is a flat out lie, but either you're too scared to say something, or if you do say something, you know that you'll get in trouble. And finally, obviously like 11, 12 years later, I had gotten to the point where I'm like, damn this, I'm going to go there and I'm going to tell them 100%. Nancy did have stuff to do with it. And surprise, surprise, Nancy wasn't there. She'd stepped out for the day when I went for this tour, but it was really interesting. I was quite upfront and honest with the girl that showed me through. I can't remember what her actual position was like with Mercy, but she surprisingly was understanding. She knew of things that had happened in Australia, obviously didn't admit any guilt or anything like that. And likewise, like I didn't go in saying, damn you and how dare you and whatever. Like I was quite polite and professional, but it was very, very interesting to see the exact same things going on in the home, like what she was explaining. So it was weird to kind of be walked through a house and this is where our girls do meal prep and this is where our girls listen to their tape series. And it was the fact that everything, as you heard Sarah and I explain what a day in the life was for us, is going on there still to this day. So it's one of the biggest things. And I think I actually messaged Sarah that night. She showed me through their classroom and where they had like their morning praise sessions and all of that. And there were 3 paintings on the wall of a rosebud, a rose kind of starting to bloom, and a rose in full bloom.
I
And
think Darlene had those commissioned
I saw
home.
exactly. And I saw them, and the girl was talking like she was obviously giving this tour that she was rattling off this whole spiel. And I said to her, I was like, when did you get those paintings? And she couldn't tell me. And I messaged Sarah on the way back to the hotel, and I said, you won't believe it. Like, for everything that they've said, we never had anything to do with the Australian homes. Those 3 paintings of the roses were the exact same paintings, the exact same size, the exact same signature, the ones that we looked at in the Sydney home in our dining room.
Darlene had those commissioned for the Sydney home.
So
How fun
it
is
was
that?
kind of like a massive slap in the face to say we never had anything to do with Australia. And then all of a sudden, 12 years later, I'm looking at these paintings that I looked at, hundreds of other girls looked at when they were being, I guess, traumatized in the Sydney home. But yeah, it was quite obvious that once again, that's just another lie.
What's life like now, years after Mercy, despite Mercy?
For me, I think for a long time it really, really, really affected me. I'd had breakdowns. I came out with issues that I didn't have when I went in. I developed issues that I don't believe I would have otherwise had. I believe some of them came just with the trauma. It really took me a long, long, long time to separate. I was trying to get back to the previous place I'd been in with my faith before it all just got messed up. And I couldn't really ever get back where I was. I think socially, where, you experience, unhealthy or abusive dynamics in other situations. It could be in a relationship, it could be in family, it could be in a workplace or some group. Like I just feel like I really couldn't handle it. Like it really, really affected me when I feel like I'm in a place of less power, or I feel like I'm in a situation where I have to take abuse or treatment that's not really okay. I think I'm a lot more assertive now. And I think it took me a really, really long time to get to a place where I'm like, I don't feel like I have to put up with stuff. Like I can draw healthy boundaries and keep my life pretty simple. But I think that really affected me for a long time in that way, not really being able to stand up for myself or just, like leave toxic workplaces or situations because of what had been so normalized.
That's incredible. And thank you for
Yeah.
your honesty and your courage today, both of you. Thank you
Oh, it's
for
okay.
speaking out. No, really, this is deep and dark, like we said, stuff. This is hard stuff. So yeah, really appreciated. Britt, what's life like on the other side?
Yeah, I think I touched on this when we spoke the other time. Like I feel like for every month or so that you spent in Mercy, that was an additional like 6 to 12 months out in the real world. So it does take like of recovery. It took a long time to get back to a sense of normalcy. And going into the program so young, like I didn't really have that chance to kind of find my feet as a young adult or an adult or whatever. Like everything was kind of, I'm pretty good now. There are definitely still some things that I know have stemmed from Mercy. Like I know that I've got issues with like authority and not defiance, but more that whole to put it simply, like you get scared of people. Like you get scared that you're going to get in trouble. You get scared that you're going to get some kind of discipline. Like it's even in the workplace, you're like, I'm going to get in trouble for not cleaning up my desk. Like it's a stupid belief, but you can step back and you go, that's definitely come from Mercy. And you just need to kind of shut that down really quickly. Yeah. But like as a whole, pretty good. Yeah. You just want to make sure that it doesn't happen to people again. And look, we're only 2 people and there's a couple more. Like, yeah, I think over time everybody should start waking up to a lot of these programs that are going on.
Well, yeah,
Mm.
it
the
is a
amount of
national
damage.
conversation for the Americans, the boot camps and the rehabs and the, you
Mm.
know, the, so yeah, what else do we need to cover? What else do you want to say? Sarah looked very, are you all right?
I'm okay. Yeah. I was just like, because there's a story that I had. I should have probably said this more in the middle. So it's really hard to explain the terror that I felt probably in the middle point, midway in the program. I think when I came out, I felt like I'd just come back from a war and I'm walking around and everyone's acting normal. And I feel like I've just
Oh,
stepped
man.
out of like a war that, yeah, I think Lizzie suppressed so much in the program too. And I just remember when I came out, like, I feel like there was times I'd just sit in my room and I'd just have this impulse to pick up a chair and throw it through a glass window. In the program, so I was really broken down when there could be something and it might start off small and they're trying to ping you on some small thing, but like, what if it didn't happen like that? Or you can't, because I just thought, oh, you got to be honest and you got to tell the truth. Yeah, I am telling the truth, but I'm being told that I'm lying, but I'm not lying. I'm telling, God wants me to tell the truth. Okay, tell the truth. So I do. And then it's like this thing until you lie and you call it the truth. And I don't know, I got in trouble for some stupid, I don't know, there was some staff member who, she took issue with me. She was new to night shift and I said something like, oh, just to let you know, because she sent us about half hour early and we were like, what? And I said, oh, just to let you know, the quiet time on weekends starts at this time. And she took issue with me because I told her she thought I was being a smart ass. The staff from that day said, oh, just help them out at night if they don't realize something or they forget something. And that's what I thought I was doing. But I was told that I was rude or something. I said, no, I wasn't being rude. I was just trying to help. And it kept changing. And I got called into 3 different meetings that night and in the morning. And then on the Monday over this, the fact I said it all was rude. The way I said it was rude. The fact that I spoke up to a staff member like that and corrected her was rude because we're not supposed to correct them. It went around and I'm like, I'm not trying to argue, but, and I think for me, and I'm like, tell the truth. Okay, I'll tell the truth. And I think it really took me a long time to go, it's better for me. I would have saved myself a lot of trouble if I just said, okay, sorry, and took like a discipline or something and wrote a report because the homework I got, I was just like screamed at on the Monday by the program manager. And it's all tied into God. It's all tied in. It's like you're defying God. If you defy stuff, you're defying God. If you disobey them, you're disobeying God. If you disagree with them, you're disagreeing with God. They're one and the same when you're in the program. And I had to go away and write a report on why God wants me to submit to staff. And if I can't even tell you how much that me up, like having to write and find biblical justification, you have got to go and find Bible verses and stuff that you don't believe and it's not true, but then you're like, and when I was on Christmas break, I was not okay. I was having nightmares every night about it.
Oh, man.
Because
Sarah.
before I went on break, there was some other stuff I got in trouble for, and then I was made to feel that I was hearing voices when I wasn't. And I went on break and I wanted to run. I just thinking, I want to leave the country. I want to get that's how scared I was. I wanted to get my passport, but they had all my documents. They had all my things. So when I was away for Christmas, I didn't have my passport because I just think, how can I disappear? And then I was like, wanted to kill myself just to disappear. But then I thought, if I kill myself, then I'll go to hell. So I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I couldn't disappear to another country and just disappear and never see them again because they had my passport. And I just had these like crazy, because I was like, in that moment, and I'm not even being smart ass, but I feel like I knew how Brittany felt when she shaved her head. I felt like doing that. It was crazy. Like, that's how much terror I felt because it was so tied into God. You're taught, like all this stuff. And I just thought, oh, this is the fear of God. This is because I've disobeyed God. And this is the fear of God. And this is, yeah. And that was probably the most head fucked time I had in the program. And I think it was a while after that, I'm like, that was the point I was broken down to. And that's when I started just playing ball, telling them whatever. Yeah, I'm healed. I'm good. Yep.
And I
Yes, so
think
much.
Okay.
I think you can definitely see, like, especially what Sarah has gone through, like, explain what she's gone through. Like, you can see how you have a group of vulnerable young women, people, whatever, in this program, whether or not they've experienced any kind of severe mental illness before, but you're setting them up to essentially go down that path of some kind of severe mental illness. Like, I know I never experienced any form of psychosis before Mercy. And after Mercy, like, whether it was a thought process, whether it was being broken down, whether it was not believing the truth, whether it was intertwining religion and mental health, like, it's all of those things are massive red flags in all of those severe mental illnesses. And you come out of a program, you've lost your support system, you're told you don't have a support system anymore, you've failed. And to intertwine that religion and mental health, and as Sarah said, like, the voices, what is truth? What is my truth? What is their truth? What is the truth? You're so incredibly confused. And to the regular, I guess, medical industry, I know that when I ended up in my first psych hospital stay after Mercy, they'd never seen anything like it. Like, they'd never seen anybody present with these kind of issues either for a long time or at all. And it was kind of this whole, I guess, probably textbook, you'd probably go, oh, it's some kind of like psychotic, schizophrenic, because it's religion and it's this and what it's that. But it's actually a trauma response to this program and to these belief systems that were forced upon us. And it took, I know, like, from personal experience, like, it took my specialist that I was seeing and whoever I was under a very long time to actually understand what I was going on about. Like, it was, to them, it was just anorexia, but to me, there was a whole lot of other stuff going on. And it all stemmed from those, as Sarah said, like, those belief systems, like, what am I believing is true? What, like, it was, yeah, there's a lot there that we could unpack, but Mercy definitely did a lot of damage.
Horrific. Spiritual gaslighting. It's got to be the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it is hard to explain, like, where to people who haven't been through like a religious abuse or a cult or something, like, to tell someone how, explain your terror to someone, and like, they had never physically abused me, they'd never sexually abused me.
Yep.
Yeah, you're free to leave at any time, right?
Yeah.
But how to explain the coercion and how intertwined they are. Like, they take your belief in God and your hope in God, and they intensify that, and then they tie themselves to that, and then they become God. It's that control, and it's not easy to explain, but it's hard to explain the terror. Like, how can you be so terrified of someone that's never laid a hand on you except in prayer?
Yeah. How
Yeah.
do you climb out of those places? How did you get over it?
Just years of realization, of trying to find words for the experience, on contact with other survivors and people from their therapy, life experience, other situations that trigger you. The realization, like Britt's situation, there's still times where she's like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. And really kind of reminding yourself in those situations, like, you know what, you're an adult, you're their equal. Like, they don't have, just because they're your boss, whatever, you're their equal. Like, they can't just talk to you like, what are they going to do? But it's just that terror. And I think for Britt, she's so young when she went in there. She's not at that point where she feels like she's an adult on the same level as someone else is an adult, and has even less of that, I guess, experience being able to stand up to an adult in that situation. It's still, sometimes you still, like, reminding yourself, like, hang on, that I'm their equal. Like, I actually, my last workplace, I told off a director. I never would have done that 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But he was way in the wrong, and I stood up to him, and I was right. But it's just those things. It's like something I would never have done before, ever. Yeah.
And to go on that, like, maybe it's something that we do well now as ex-Mercy girls or Mercy survivors. It's like, when you have that opportunity to stand up for yourself, we do it well. Yeah. Of all those times when we couldn't. But I'm sure that's the same for any kind of trauma affected person. Like, it's, when you finally find your feet and you've got that opportunity and you know that you're right. And that's also something I think that we've done quite well, like since Mercy, is like we've gone down those rabbit holes. We've worked out, like we've got all our ducks in a row for those that can't and those that couldn't, like it's, yeah, and made sure that they, at the time when everything was shut down, like it was that they understood where they went wrong.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Hope that's a heap of stuff.
That's awesome. That, because I'm now aware it's 11:30 for Britt, and
It's all right. It's all right. I'll jump
What
in the
else?
shower shortly.
what else do we need to? I mean, there's, you know what I mean, there's so much, but what do we do?
So much. Like if there's stuff that you've picked up, or if we think of, like, we can just come back.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So, is Mercy Survivors still running?
The website's still up. I think
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
So people can
I ran it for a long time, and I think I just I had some life circumstances at a certain point in time, and I just had to not do it anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
Oh, yeah.
down for a while, but it's back up thanks to Britt's help.
everything's still there. All the, like, the Instagram's still there. I think the Facebook's still there. It's not really monitored that much because, as Sarah said, like we've got life stuff, it's a lot of effort, especially when you've got a lot of people coming to you going, help me, or help my child, or like it's, yeah. And you don't want to give them the wrong advice, because then that would just be hypocritical doing what Mercy did. We're not qualified. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. We'll leave it there. Thank you again so much for your honesty, your bravery. And like you said, we'll come back to anything if, when we finish and we think, I should have covered this and this, because there's still so much more to discuss. Thank you guys so much. Parting thoughts?
I do know how to boil water now.
Should do a testimony about it, Britt.
I should, but I'll have to sign something for you guys. So I'll do an NDA that I do know how to. Yeah.
Amen. What a miracle. All right, talk soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Right. Well, we thought we had captured all of it in that chat, but we hadn't. There's still some really, really urgently important topics to discuss in terms of who these people are that run these kinds of places. People like Nancy, and what other pies they have their fingers in. We'll leave it at that. We had a quick meeting just this afternoon, but we've decided to meet again to hit on those. Just when you hear it, you're just going to be like, what? Does this get more wild? Yeah, it does. Unregulated blind faith and unsupervised care of vulnerable people just seems to know no limits when these predators are around. Thank you so much for spending time with us again today. Keep a lookout for this next part, the next installment. Just wanted to gather a few more facts, a few more connections, and yeah, we'll be bringing it straight to you. I think these episodes, while they've been quite intense, they have so many transferable situations and lessons and understandings about what fundamentalism and evangelical Christianity can turn into, especially in really, closed systems. These are common outcomes. It's just, I guess people don't often have the chance to be able to really locate the source of it and the moments and the teachings and what they were put through. So there's a lot of commonalities for people who've been in, high control religions like Hillsong. Like Sarah said, you can leave any time you want, right? Right? This is why you need to be that little bit more kind to yourself, a little bit more understanding. Spread that kindness to the person next to you. And while you're looking out for more episodes, we've got so much fun content coming up. Stay in touch, reach out, send a message. And above all, keep leaving Hillsong. And we'll talk soon. Bye.